Welcome back to Digits here at WSJ Live. I'm Simon Constable, and that is Larry Page, and he is speaking once again. To find out what he said and what it means, we've got Amir Efrati joining us now from San Francisco, where he's with the Journal. Amir, Larry Page talking. Of course, he had lost his voice for a while, couldn't really speak. He's back speaking. What did he say?
Well, he spoke in kind of a raspy voice. This was in Paradise Valley at the Google Zeitgeist conference, which is a conference for Google's business partners. He didn't say what was wrong with him or why he'd been away for so long as far as speaking publicly. I asked him what his diagnosis was. He wouldn't really say. He just said he was happy to be there. His voice is still a little hoarse. But what he did talk about in detail, or in greater detail, was some of the concerns about Google right now, which is the antitrust probes happening in Europe and here in the US. And while he said he was hopeful that the outcome of these probes would be good for Google, he did start to lay out some of the defenses that Google has been arguing to regulators about why their business practices are not anti-competitive. So he talked about how Google creates products in different verticals like Google Maps, and when they introduce those things they get criticism. He said when they introduced Google Maps like 7 years ago, people were like, well, there's MapQuest. Why do we need Google Maps, and is that fair for you to promote Google Maps in the search engine results? And he said, well, Google Maps is really good and nobody uses MapQuest anymore. And speaking of Google Maps, he did talk about the recent controversy over Apple Maps. As you know, Apple kicked out Google from iOS devices, from iPads and iPhones. And this created a lot of controversy because Apple Maps wasn't really ready for prime time and wasn't considered to be as good as Google Maps. So Larry said he's really happy and excited that people are finally noticing how much work has gone into Google Maps. He didn't say whether Google would be introducing an app for the iPhone of Google Maps, but he did say he was happy that Google Maps was getting attention and that they definitely want to release an app for the iPhone. One last thing that I should mention, Simon, is that he talked about one of the things that's worrying Larry Page the most is over-regulation of the internet, specifically in the area of data privacy. Earlier this week, French regulators demanded that Google make some changes to its privacy policy. Earlier this year, Google overhauled its privacy policy to allow the company to mix different pots of data that it has about you, each individual user, so that it could promote and create new services, such as Google Now, which is a service for Android-powered devices. Google makes Android software, and that software powers devices. So Larry said that he was really worried that regulators were really trying to stifle innovation and weren't sort of thinking far enough ahead. So those are some of the things that Larry Page talked about.
Well, I'm sure our colleague Julia Angwin would have something to say about that. Thank you very much, Amir Efrati of the Wall Street Journal in San Francisco.